We'll start over. Welcome to the City Council regular meeting for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, both here and online. We'll start out. Is there any additions or corrections with the agenda?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll move the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. First item up, presentations and proclamations. Our first is the Minnesota DOT Highway 3 Corridor Study Update. Mr. Egger.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll turn this over actually to our guest, Joe DeVore with KLJ. He is speaking on behalf of MNDOT and going to give a presentation updating us all on the status of the Highway 3 Corridor Study.
Green light now.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, Council, for having me today. I'm joined today by Robert Jones and Phil from MNDOT, who are MNDOT representatives. We are getting into kind of phase 3 of our study, which is finalizing recommendations for this corridor study. We've gotten a lot of input from the public, both in phase 1 and phase 2, that we've really integrated into our technical recommendations for this study. So our study overview was really identifying the needs and deficiencies along a 10 to 12 mile section of Highway 3 between Highway 62 on the north side all the way down through Rosemount to 160th or County Road 46. Really looking to address vulnerable user crashes, forecast growth and identify where expansion was needed along this corridor, and evaluate regional connectivity and trying to reduce cut-through traffic. So what our recommendations are right now is really looking at segmenting this corridor up and targeting both cross-section improvements as well as intersection improvements. So in segment 1, this is a section from County Road 46 to County Road 42 or 160th to 150th. We're looking at 3 roundabouts, a roundabout at CASA 46 on the southern side, a roundabout connecting into a future grade separation at County Road 42, and then a single lane roundabout at Rosemount Crossing, which will provide better access in and out of that commercial area. We're recommending a segment-long 3-lane section that basically extends what's there on the south all the way up through downtown instead of the existing 2-lane that's there today. For segment 2 going through downtown, we are looking at adding a roundabout at 145th Street instead of the traffic signal there. This would be a compact roundabout. So we're really keeping that low speed nature within downtown. The big feedback we heard from the public during phase 2 was we really want to keep downtown a 3-lane section. We didn't want to add medians, so really keeping that 3-lane section except for that influence area around 145th is going to make it into those recommendations for segment 2. As we start looking at coming north out of downtown, we are looking at adding a roundabout at Connemara Trail and Bon Air Path. These would be much larger roundabouts, multi-lanes for Highway 3, but still keeping that 3-lane cross-section in between these intersections and extending north up to McAndrews or County Road 38 on the northern part of this segment. We would look at seeing those benefits, especially at 130th Street, which has a high crash rate, as well as Bon Air Path, which has a high crash rate as well, with these improvements really slowing speed down in this section. This did have a lot of public support versus a 4-lane option that we had been considering. And then as we kind of work north from McAndrews up to the border on between Rosemount and Egan at 120th and Biscayne, we do see that 3-lane section all the way up to Cliff Road. We would likely be keeping a signal at Red Pine Lane and a signal at McAndrews. So as we start looking at long-term that travel demand, we made a presentation a couple weeks ago to the City of Egan's City Council. They really saw that need for a 4-lane section on the north side of segment 3 connecting into Highway 149 long term. This is a graphic that really shows those 4-lane corridors in kind of a blown out section in this area. And really Highway 3 is that only north-south option other than Pilot Knob Road to the west and Highway 52 to the east. So we really do see that connection from 149 to Cliff Road as being a big area where that 4-lane will be needed in the future. This is against some of the feedback we heard from the public. We understand that, and we really are trying to keep this segment as short as possible, where it is more impactful to the kind of right-of-way section going through that area. We also wanted to touch on some of the Dakota County multimodal and greenway planning in the area. We are looking at a proposed grade-separated crossing connecting 120th and Biscayne to Dodd Boulevard on the west into that Rosemount Loop on the east side, connecting down to Central Park. That is one recommendation that will be good because at 120th and Biscayne, we were looking at a 3/4 intersection, which wouldn't have traffic control in the north-south direction. So as we take a look at kind of a full corridor view, this 12.5-mile corridor, we are only looking at increasing that travel time by a minute or two into our 2050 results. That comes even adding about 8 additional traffic controls. So a couple of roundabouts in Rosemount with Rosemount Crossing and at 145th. As well as some north on the corridor as we get into Egan and Invergrove Heights as well. Looking at that safety need, we really identified 3 main sections in the Rosemount area. Spot improvement at 160th Street and County Road 46. The influence area around County Road 42. And then the section from Connemara Trail up to Biscayne and 120th. These were really crash areas that have had a very high crash costs over the last 10 years that would really see that safety need addressed with improvements at those intersections. And then lastly, kind of looking at what that implementation schedule would be. These are just 2025 costs right now. These numbers would likely go up in the future as these designs progress. But you can really see that middle section from 142nd Street all the way up to 149. We're looking at $55 to $60 million in safety improvement projects. Right now, MNDOT only has about $15 million identified for that stretch for pavement only. So we really will be taking these next 6 to 7 years to really identify that funding. If we can get that funding identified early, then that design can be incorporated into that pavement project. So with that, that's the presentation for tonight.
Thank you. With that, I'll open up to council. Any questions or comments?
Just to begin with, you mentioned some community engagement. So can you speak to how many residents from across the total cities and specifically Rosemount attended the open houses? How many filled out the surveys? What were we looking at for that kind of engagement?
Yeah, so we had 3 open houses, one in each city with this project. We had about 150 people come to each one of those open houses. So it was packed from when we started about 4:30 all the way till 7:30. We had a lot of people along the corridor come and really share that, you know, the safety issues and validate the safety issues on the corridor, but also talk about the corridor where they don't want to see it expand. They don't want to, you know, see that travel demand really increase in the future. So we really wanted to limit that regionally where it was critical.
Other questions?
Nope.
Oh. Could you go back, I think it was a couple slides that showed timing. Was that the one there? Yeah, this one here. And just for the audience to recognize, again, this was a corridor study, covered a lot of area, and you're looking, this is 2026, so we're looking out here at least 14 years worth of projects and things. Could you speak to the next steps here residents should expect, because this looks like it's a ways away yet?
Yes, it takes a lot of planning for some of these larger MNDOT projects. It can take, you know, 6 to 8 years for an expansion project. So that's really where we start with this corridor study as that first step, identifying the need, identifying potential funding streams that we could utilize. The next steps really are addressing within MNDOT statewide, are these going to be priorities for looking at that funding for? What funding streams do we utilize? And then can those be integrated into the design and eventual construction of those moving forward and still keeping some of those years? Is 2033 going to be that construction year? We don't necessarily know. We want to put a year on that. That could slide if there's other statewide priorities, but right now that is the year identified in the CHIP.
And could you also share that the costs that are showing here are really 2026 dollars?
Correct.
And the dates that are out there would actually be higher, correct?
Yep. So these costs would likely increase considering inflation over those 7 years. Or even more years for the projects that are out there. This was really done as an exercise to just show where that money was being kind of identified in that project area, consistent with where that safety need was.
Again, in your methodology for MNDOT, this is the prioritization out of 2026 costs.
Correct.
Okay.
And just for our residents' benefit, just to add, I know we feel some of these pain points every day driving Highway 3, but I know some that I hear about regularly, like that intersection at Bon Air, has really become a pain point for a lot of us as we've had some of those homes build up there. So if I'm a resident there and I'm going, oh my gosh, the soonest I'm getting relief is 7 years, you know, I just... Thanks for your patience, but this is definitely the kind of stuff that we as a council advocate for, and we work with our state representative as well to try to push forward that priority, because certainly there are some key intersections along here that are very important to all of us.
Yeah, and we've been hearing good input from city staff throughout the project, and really looking for opportunities where, if there are coming up opportunities to fast track any of these, trying to fit those in. But again, it's a long process that starts with a study like this, and really having that community come out at those engagement events and really show us why those safety improvements are needed.
I just make a comment that currently I serve on the Transportation Advisory Board for Met Council, so please get this submitted as soon as possible. We're more than happy to push it through.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that, we'll consider the presentation received and feedback provided, and we will complete item 3A and move on to item 3B, the Metropolitan Council update from our representative, Mark Jenkins. Logan, did you have any comments? Okay. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff, technology. There we go.
You heard I just promised, that we were going to get that money.
And I'm going to watch for it, too.
Yes.
Okay, how do I control that? Go ahead, I'll let you get it into, it's not in presenter mode.
Oh, well.
There you go. That's what I needed. All right. Well, thank you for the time. I want to share with you what I've learned over my almost 1 year serving on the Metropolitan Council. When I first applied and was talking to friends and family, they were like, what does the Met Council do? When I was talking to regional legislators, I would hear, what does the Metropolitan Council do? So I thought, now that I have an idea, I'd take some time and share it with you and also your residents who are taking the time to watch and learn a little bit more. So go to this. So I am Mark Jenkins. I serve District 12, basically Southern Washington County, Eastern Dakota County. A little bit about the Metropolitan Council. We serve the 7 counties. There are 16 Metropolitan Council districts, 182 cities and townships, as well as 11 federally recognized tribal nations, 3.2 million people, and projected growth of 610,000 by 2050. But what I want to talk about are what the Metropolitan Council does above and beyond what most people see. And to be honest, most people in the metropolitan area go, oh, Metropolitan Council, you operate the buses. Unless, of course, I'm standing in Rosemount, and then they're like, you don't even do that. So I want to share things that we do in partnership with our communities, our county, and the state. So we have 3 divisions. The first of which I want to talk about is our Community Development Division. And one of the things that's probably key on some of your team's minds for the next couple years is comprehensive planning. In the 2040 plan, some of the actions we've taken, and these are just within the last year, sort of in my institutional memory, we approved an expansion of the Rosemount Middle School MUSA. We did a comp plan amendment for the Aspen Ponds Comprehensive Plan. And then we have a North Wind Test Sewer Plan that is pending right now and should be before council actually within the next month. We also are working with you on planning for 2050. And for this document that you see up on the screen, if anyone wants to get a hold of it, anything that's highlighted here, blue and underlined, you can drill down into those project pages and so forth. But we have a local planning handbook that's available for your staff, but it's also public. Your residents can look and see what are some of the things, what are some of the guardrails that Met Council legislatively has to put in, but how can we work with the city to help plan for Rosemount in 2050? Rosemount is also eligible for Livable Communities grants and is also a plat monitoring community. Community development also includes parks and trails. And I have to say Rosemount is one of the, I'm going to say, big beneficiaries of that out of my 23 communities. You've got Spring Lake Park Reserve, which in the last year, we've approved funding to Dakota County for a tribal liaison and long-range plan improvements. We have the Mississippi River Greenway Regional Trail, which, by the way, I ride quite frequently. That bike looks very familiar to me, maybe not to anybody else, but I do ride that trail a lot. We have the Rosemount Greenway Regional Trail, Vermilion Highlands Greenway Regional Trail, and also last year we funded for the county parks outreach coordinator and programming. But those are 2 things. The third thing we do, which isn't really evident in Rosemount, is we also provide for affordable housing. Dakota County and Washington County in my district all have their own affordable housing, their own housing agencies, but there are some communities in the metro area that do not have that provided by their city or county. So we serve in that area. But also through our comprehensive planning, we work with all of our communities to try to plan for more affordable housing for our residents. Our second division I want to talk about is environmental services, mainly clean water. And from the clean water perspective, one of the things that we've been very happy to partner with Rosemount on is water efficiency grants. How can the city, how can your community help preserve water, save water, to make sure that we have clean water into the future? So we work with grants, we do water supply planning, we also monitor lakes and rivers in the metropolitan area. Now, when it does come to environmental services, probably one of the biggest services we provide for Rosemount is the one that most people don't even realize we do, and that is water resource recovery, or old school wastewater treatment. The city of Rosemount is served by our plant in Empire, and we are moving from phase 1 to phase 2 of our Southeast Metro long-term wastewater planning study, meaning we need to upgrade our wastewater treatment in the Southeast Metro. We're planning ourselves for probably 2030 to 2050 in this, and we're working with the communities in Eastern Dakota County to find out what are their needs, their interests, their priorities. So as we plan for that, we know how to work with the neighboring communities to do that. On this slide are also other projects we have that will take place in Rosemount to improve and to continue to maintain our water resource recovery in the city. Now, transportation, Rosemount is in a unique position with multiple transit providers, but it doesn't mean that the Metropolitan Council doesn't provide transit in Rosemount. We have our Metro Mobility and Metro Move services that help our paratransit riders. We also have Transit Link, which is a curb-to-curb request service, as well as carpool and vanpool. As more employers start moving to now 4-day mandatory weeks, if we start to see a shift in ridership where me and 4 or 5 friends have to go into work at the same time and head home at the same time, we may see a rise in carpools and vanpools. They never went away. They aren't very popular right now, but those services are still here. But on top of all of this, we also have a commuters program, which basically is consultants from our Metropolitan Transportation Group who can come out to a senior center, a school district, a business, and sit down and say, okay, how do your residents, your employees, your visitors want to come arrive and travel back and forth to that location? And we would have people who would be happy to sit down and say, hey, we've got Transit Link that could help here. These are a number of the different services that we provide. And one more thing on transportation, as the mayor mentioned, I also served on Transportation Advisory Board, and in our last transportation improvement program, we approved $10 million in funding for CASA 46, which is 160th Street, reconstruction funding, which right now is slated for around 2029. So with those, we have community development, environmental services, and transportation. I'm very happy to say Rosemount does a fantastic job taking advantage of those. And to answer that first question, what does the Metropolitan Council do? The city and the county and the state do a lot. And we're very happy to be the silent partner in the background, which is probably why not a lot of people know what we do. But I'm very happy that we get to partner with cities like Rosemount, Dakota County, and the rest of District 12 to help provide those services to your citizens. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
All right, we'll open up the floor to council. Any questions or comments?
You did mention that most of those documents, those blue links, are publicly available documents, and obviously we don't have our hands on this deck, but if I were a resident watching this tonight and I was interested in finding some of those, where am I going?
could I ask, I don't know if city staff can post, I provided both a PowerPoint and even just a one-pager. The one-pager is just basically the slides without all the pictures. If that could be put into the minutes. Otherwise, if you want to put my contact info, I'd be happy to provide it as well.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Anything else? I just say appreciate you coming out this evening. I had an opportunity to attend the State of the Region, and I think one of the things, at least for our residents, to recognize the celebration was kind of around 100 years of the Mississippi River, which on the eastern side of our community we touched that. But in 1926, it was essentially declared dead. And it was out of that recognition that the waters were not very clean that the Met Council was actually established to clean up the Mississippi from north of the Minneapolis area down through, I want to say it was South St. Paul.
Yeah, I think
roughly.
Basically through the metro. Yeah.
So all that stuff that was north of there has now been cleaned up, and certainly have the Mississippi being a working river, but it's certainly much cleaner, and there are fish in it now, I guess. They said they only found 3 fish in that whole stretch. So, but it was very informative, and amazing what the cities, this region was able to do partnering over that many years. So it's nice to see things are still continuing in that vein.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for recognizing that. Yeah, and what's interesting, and you also being a neighbor on the Mississippi River, is that, as you said, there was a fish census, whatever survey, where they found 3 fish in 26. Yet today, if you talk to people, and our teams have done this, how many people think that the river is cleaner now than it was 100 years ago? There are still double-digit percentages of people who think it's worse now than it was then. So we recognize there are still things we need to do to clean it. I've always believed that there will always be challenges that will come up and keeping those rivers clean and safe. But yes, that was an achievement, but it's also an ongoing project for the Met Council and all of our partners on the river.
I guess I had one item that I know that we've always tried to challenge, I guess, Met Council a little bit. We have a large, I want to say, is it a 42-inch outfall pipe that goes from Empire through our community? But that water goes directly into the Mississippi. It's relatively clean, but to be able to utilize that water for other industrial, commercial uses in a reuse program, would like to see that kind of be pushed a little bit at the Met Council level.
I'll make note of it and check in. I'm not familiar with it at this point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, consider the report received and comments with Mr. Jenkins. And that completes item 3B. We'll continue on item number 4, response to public comment, and confirming with Administrator Martin, does not appear that we have any outstanding comments to share this evening. We'll move on to public comment, item number 5. Anyone wishing to come before council may do so on subjects not part of the meeting agenda. Typically, the responses or replies to those questions will be expressed through a letter or phone call within a week or at the following council member. So the floor is open. We ask to come up, state your name, address, and your comment and question, and try to limit your inquiries to 3 minutes or less. The floor is open. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Mark Frank. My address is 14879 Bittersweet Court, Rosemont, Minnesota, 55068. I don't really have questions. I was up here more to speak. Do I have permission to speak?
Comments, we'll accept comments.
Okay. I would like to at least comment on why I didn't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I have my own pledge I'd like to say. It's called the Pledge. O pledges allegiance to the United States of America and will defend our confederation of. The government of our democracy cares about the people of the United States of America. Truth be told, O is a patriot of the United States of America. For the men and women who founded this confederation and for what O believes, we the people is within us. For the norm we seek and have found, we the people. I'd like to put that on record for possible future
Yep,
use.
you can share that with the, turn it into the clerk.
Well, I'd ask for a copy to be made.
We've got it on video, so we'll be able, yep, we have.
There's one on the back that's pointed. And then I'd like to move to further comments or actually speak. It's on a topic of executive orders. I know I'm talking to a local government, which is fine and perfect and appropriate. To the level of the 1 cent, to reenact and override at a voter level the 1 cent to 5 cent following a foreign elected Don Trump in our government, who follows Canada as what he stated was their way of doing 5 cents over 1 cent. And I also have a list of the presidents who were foreign in our government. I have Don, Joe, Bill, Richard, Jimmy, Lyndon, Harry, John, and that's at least. If you need last names, I can pronounce them. That's Don Trump, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Richard Nixon, Carter, Jimmy, Johnson, Lyndon, Truman, Harry, Kennedy, John, F. They were foreign presidents. They no longer live on this earth. Any other questions, sir?
We just take your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Margaret Sullivan, and I'm from North Minneapolis. I'm here because one hyperscale AI data center burdens all Minnesotans. And I know you know the ways, but including our water supplies, our energy stability, probably our privacy, and could make us a military target. And the one plant here in Rosemount would be the first in Minnesota, which is horrible to say, but makes Rosemount a drain on Minnesota, even with a moratorium. So a lot of us, and maybe even some of you, are grateful for your moratorium. In fact, MNDFL voted a resolution for data center moratorium for inclusion in party platform just this weekend. And I don't know about the Republican convention, but polls show practically nobody likes data centers, including everyday Republicans. So just know you have the support of most everyday Americans on this, and thank you for it. So I have a question about it. Your moratorium names city staff, consultants, and planning commission as the people conducting a study of data centers, including, it says, their relevant localized impacts. My question is, when it comes to that part of the study, who is on this committee to help oversee that part of the study on localized impacts? I mean, impacts, I'm assuming, to your resident taxpayers. I didn't see mention of taxpayer or resident representation in the group conducting the study during moratorium, but maybe I'm missing something. Is the committee built to have members representing resident taxpayers on it alongside the city staff, consultants, and planning commission? Okay, I'm not hearing an answer, but obviously I'm an outsider, and I'm probably not even quite using the right words for this, and I've been away for a few weeks, so this might have already been addressed since my last time here, but if not, just American to American, keep residents out of this process doesn't sound like democratic representative governance to me. And if Rosemount is built for tax-paying residents to make a motion to have tax-paying resident representation on that committee studying the localized impacts of data centers, I just beg residents here or online, watching online, to think about making such a motion, if not tonight, just as soon as possible, because you will be helping Rosemount and all Minnesotans. Well, thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder, we don't really respond to the questions or comments this evening. Again, there will be a follow-up with staff, or we'll respond at the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Mayor, maybe just quickly in the moment, if you don't mind, just a quick clarification that the planning commission that the lady did reference is 7 residents of Rosemount who are homeowners here in the city of Rosemount. So just a quick clarification there before you take off. But yeah.
Well, of course, I didn't mean those folks. I meant just everyday taxpayer residents.
Which
Anyway.
is what the planning commission is.
Okay. Are they appointed?
They are appointed.
Right. So non-appointed, just everyday folks. That's
That's the process here in Rosemount. We
right.
appoint
That
our
was the
commission
question.
members. Yeah,
What's
we
the
appoint-
process? So I think you're confirming that there isn't yet room on this committee for just everyday non-appointed
Again, the
taxpaying
planning
residents.
commission members are everyday Rosemount residents.
I just said non-appointed.
They are appointed.
Right. I'm talking about non-appointed, everyday taxpaying
Anybody that would
residents.
serve on the commission would have to be appointed by the city council.
The planning commission?
Yes.
Right. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking
Anyone
about the
serving
commission,
on
the
the
committee
other
to
commission,
study.
any other committee would need to be appointed again by city council.
Okay. Well, this is a question about making motion. I don't know your city governance. I'm wondering if some cities do have room for just everyday taxpayer to make a motion for
We're
city
a
to council.
statutory
company.
city, and we don't operate under charter rules like Minneapolis or St. Paul.
I'm not talking about Minneapolis or St. Paul.
Oh.
I'm
We're
talking about
statutory
smaller
city and
cities.
operate that way. So, thank you.
Fine. The question is just, anybody watching, if there's room for this, please do it.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? All righty. We will consider then public comment closed for this evening. We'll move on to the consent agenda, item number 6, items A through H. We have bill listings, minutes of the May 19th regular meeting minutes, liquor license renewals, 2 for Quick Trip and 1 for Top 10 Liquors, a professional service agreement for Central Park expansion, site improvements with WSB, approval of a Rich Valley Second Edition subdivision agreement. This is out by the FedEx for a warehouse. Donation acceptance for the fire department from Los Tortillas and Merchant Bank totaling $210, $105 for each for public education with our fire department. A medical leave of absence extension for fire personnel, and an ag preserve removal requested by the estate of the landowners. So with that, would anyone like to pull any item for further discussion or comment? Seeing none, would someone like to move the consent agenda items 6A through H for approval?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Essler, second by Tyson. Roll, please.
Essler,
Aye.
Klimple,
Aye.
Weisenfeld,
Aye.
Tyson.
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved 4-0. This evening, we have no public hearings or unfinished business. We'll move on to new business, a infant water filter pitcher program. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Egger.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, council members. As you mentioned, tonight for your consideration, we have a proposal to initiate what we're calling an infant formula water program or filter pitcher program. I want to start with the origin of kind of what led us here to making this proposal. This stems from monitoring manganese levels in our drinking water supply, and just a little bit of background about that. Manganese is a naturally occurring element that's in the Earth's crust, found in soil rocks, and very common in groundwater sources, just like the ones we rely on here in Rosemount, but many, many places across the United States. It's also an essential nutrient required by the human body, but it is not regulated by the in terms of having a standard that we have to meet, but there are recommendations that stem through the Environmental Protection Agency pertaining to adults and to children that are less than 1 year old. Whereas for adults, the established recommendation is 300 micrograms per liter within drinking water, and for children that are under 1 year old, it's 100 micrograms or less of manganese. So that it comes into play. It's applicable particularly with bottle-fed infants or formula-fed infants, where the combination of tap water containing elevated levels of manganese and the formula itself, which would have manganese in it, could lead to overall dose or concentration above what's recommended for infant health. We did do a bit of monitoring on this throughout the city for over an 18-month period to determine what we were seeing in not only our wells itself, but also at the tap in many locations around town. Several of our wells had typical levels of manganese of between 100 and 150 micrograms per liter right at the well, but that is not where water is consumed, of course. Water is consumed in homes and at the opposite end of the distribution system. And so we took measurements around town to see what the effect was of all of our wells combining together and providing what is kind of a blended result in the distribution system. And we found that it is different than what we find at the wells. We would typically experience levels that were near that 100 micrograms per liter, but not necessarily under that limit consistently. So with that and having those results in hand, we moved to the next phase of this whole matter. And what we are proposing tonight is to initiate a program where households having an infant 0 to 12 months old could make an application to the city at our city offices and receive a free filter pitcher, like a Brita product that can reduce manganese in the resulting filtered water within the pitcher that then parents can utilize to mix with formula and provide a result that's within recommended levels. To set that up, it's rather simple. Participation in the program, of course, would be voluntary. And eligible households would be those residing in Rosemount and having infants 0 to 12 months old in the house. An applicant would have to come to the Public Works facility and provide proof of residency via utility bill or ID to show that to staff, and also present either a copy of a birth certificate or something similar to verify child age. We'd record that data, but just that it's been verified, not take copies of it or anything that would be sensitive data, and record that for the address to indicate that the requirements are met. Based on some demographic analysis that we did, we'd estimate that there'd be anywhere from 300 to 350 infants 0 to 12 months old in the city any given year based on our current population and inputs from the U.S. Census Bureau on birth rates and so forth. That would translate into, with the cost of a filter pitcher and 6 replacement filters, which is a year's supply, a cost of a program that could be on the order of about $20,000 a year. So pretty low impact from a budgetary standpoint, but high value in terms of providing this as a optional solution for folks if they so choose. So if approved tonight, this evening, we'd anticipate, of course, we'd have to make the purchase of a bulk order of the pitcher filter kits. We'd expect to receive those probably later in the month of June. So right now we're tentatively would anticipate that we'd be able to start receiving applications from households in the beginning of July. So we're kind of all teed up to promote it and push it out with July 1 as the target date for starting to have those available. I think that is about all that I have for now, but I can certainly turn it back to you, Mayor and Council, for any questions.
Okay, I'll open up to council.
Just a quick question. How are you planning to market and communicate that this is available for residents?
Multifaceted. We'd have a news flash on our website. We'd do social media posts. There's a whole litany of things I've been working on with our comms team that has this all teed up. We would have pamphlets available at our city facilities and then distribute those out to a few community locations as well. I believe that our comms team did suggest something about a quick blurb in the local paper about it too.
And then what communications included about the situation and why we're doing it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the message that we're delivering there?
Well, it builds upon what we already have on our city website related to this topic, in that the findings that I explained earlier, where what our levels have been in our wells versus what we found in our tap locations, and would explain that this is just an evolution of stemming from those findings to what our solution to the matter would be.
And if you guys involve like the Department of Health in the communication, I mean, I would just suggest, have them look at the communication, make sure it's accurate in terms of what we're communicating.
We have had a lot of back and forth or interaction with the Department of Health over time about this issue as we've monitored and evaluated it, and this stays consistent with that. It's they've reinforced with the city that yes, this is still a voluntary act on the city's behalf. There's no mandate from the state level or statutory requirement to have to provide treatment to reduce manganese. And in fact, our levels are kind of moderate, although over a recommended standard for the infant age group, but not the entire population, as it were.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Okay, seeing none. Thank you.
Thanks.
Turn it back to council. Anyone wish to move the recommended action?
I'll make a motion to approve implementation of the infant water filter pitcher program.
Second.
I have a motion by Essler, second by Klimple. Roll, please.
Klimple,
Aye.
Weisenthal,
Aye.
Tyson,
Aye.
Essler.
Aye.
And item 9A passes 4-0. And July 1 again was that anticipated date. Have that available. It completes 9. We'll move on to announcements under item 10. I'll look to city staff. Mr. Martin.
Thanks, Mayor. We just had a quick update from Nick, sticking on the water theme with a public outreach event we're going to do here in a couple weeks. So I'll turn it over to Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martin. Just expanding on what I talked about a little bit in the realm of water quality, we know that from our ongoing work towards addressing the gross alpha matter, it has given rise to a number of questions about water quality in general around the city, and for that, staff is of the mind that it would be well served for us to do an outreach event on this. So we're working on assembling that to occur on June 18th, and we would hold this at the Steeple Center, where we would have a panel of different agency experts from the city on up to state level on several fronts, PCA, Department of Health, DNR, Dakota County, and our own consultants who've been working towards the evaluation of physical solutions for gross alpha, just to give a good slate and cross section of we know, and as staff, we're operating a system, but we are responsible to many different entities beyond the city's four walls, if you will, and we're having to work with those folks on a pretty consistent basis as we address problems like this and just in everyday, ordinary compliance matters. So we felt that it would be good to bring in that panel, that group, and share information and offer a little bit of opportunity for residents who might have additional questions stemming from that content or elsewhere to be able to engage one-on-one. So working on putting that event together, announcements on that'll go out in the next week or so, just promoting the time and place.
Did you have a tentative time for that? I thought something.
I'm sorry, I did. It'll begin at 6 p.m. at the
6
People's Center in the Assembly Hall. But
Right.
Okay.
we'll elaborate on the other details with the formal announcement.
All right. Is there anything else? Mr. Martin? All right. Move on to item 10B, upcoming community calendar. Excuse me. Next action items or activities here for council. We have the next Port Authority on June 16th from 6 to 7 p.m. here at City Hall, followed by the next City Council meeting from 7 to 8 p.m. also here at City Hall. Just one other announcement. There's a public event in the Patriots in the Park, and that is on Tuesday the 9th. I didn't have the starting.
I think it should be 5 to 9.
5 to 9.
Yeah.
I was looking for Mr. Schultz, but so 5 to 9, an event here in the community. And later this month, you should be seeing things regarded to RAC's Art Blast in the community. So with that, any comments or questions from council, announcements? All right. Seeing none, I'll move to adjourn the meeting and reconvene our work session in the conference room.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. Reconvening.